يا أيها الذين كفروا لا تعتذروا اليوم إنما تجزون ما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة عليها ملائكة غلاظ شداد لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. يا أيها الذين كفروا لا تعتذروا اليوم إنما تجزون ما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا توبوا إلى الله توبة نصوحا.
أحسن. اللهم وفق.
عسى ربكم أن يكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويدخلكم جنات ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار يوم لا يخزي الله النبي.
اللهم صل عليه. اللهم صل على محمد. اللهم صل عليه.
يوم لا يخزي الله النبي والذين آمنوا معه.
اللهم اجعلنا منهم. اللهم اجعلنا منهم.
نورهم يسعى بين أيديهم وبأيمانهم يقولون ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا.
وارزقنا النور عليك ما شاء الله
يقولون ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا
اللهم كل
نورهم يسعى بين أيديهم وبأيمانهم يقول
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brothers and sisters, we welcome you to another program on Friday from Hayes Muslim Center, from Angel Muslim Center. Alhamdulillah, during these difficult time, challenging time when the masjids are closed, alhamdulillah, we aim to continue the services whatever possibly we can to our community. And one of the series we have started, alhamdulillah, is every Friday we have a Friday talk. We have a guest speaker on different relevant religious and social topics. And this is something, inshallah, we aim to continue to do so in future as well. Even when the masjids are hopefully, inshallah, in coming days, coming weeks are open, we still wish to continue these services for the people, for our sisters, for our families who cannot attend the masjid, to take benefit of these talks, inshallah, in future. So without any further delay, inshallah, we start the program today. And the first person I would like to invite our local resident Imam from his Muslim Center. He's going to read Quran. We start the program with the recitation of Quran. And inshallah, he's going to give a short, very short, 3-4 minutes message in Urdu for our Urdu audience. And then inshallah, we will invite our guest speaker, Mufti Amjad Muhammad Saab, inshallah. He's going to talk about something which is a very, very relevant topic in current circumstances. So without any further delay, I would like to ask Imam Arqam Saab to unmute and inshallah read the Quran and say a few words, and then inshallah we will move on. Over to you, Imam Saab.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزلنا من البينات والهدى من بعد ما بيناه للناس في الكتاب أولئك يلعنهم الله ويلعنهم اللاعنون إلا الذين تابوا وأصلحوا وبينوا فأولئك أتوب عليهم وأنا التواب الرحيم إن الذين كفروا وماتوا وهم كفار أولئك عليهم لعنة الله والملائكة والناس أجمعين خالدين فيها لا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينظرون وإلهكم إله واحد لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم صدق الله العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة على أهلها أما بعد محترم ناظرین، آج میں صرف ایک چھوٹا سا واقعہ بیان کروں گا جو حافظ ابن حجر رحمۃ اللہ علیہ نے الاصابہ میں حضرت عبداللہ بن حذافہ کے مناقب میں بیان کیا ہے۔ اس سے صرف ہمیں اس کا مقصد یہ ہے کہ اس سے ہمیں پتہ چلے گا کہ اگر ایمان مضبوط ہے، اگر ایمان ہمارا مضبوط ہے اللہ کے ساتھ، اور ہمارا دین ہمارے دل کے اندر اگر سرایت کر چکا ہے، تو دین کے لیے بڑی بڑی قربانیاں دینا ہمارے لیے بہت آسان ہو جاتی ہے۔ واقعہ یہ ہے کہ ایک مرتبہ حضرت عمر فاروق رضی اللہ تعالی عنہ کے دور خلافت میں رومیوں سے جنگ کے دوران حضرت عبداللہ بن حذافہ رضی اللہ تعالی عنہ چند مسلمانوں کے ساتھ گرفتار ہو گئے۔ تو رومی بادشاہ نے حضرت عبداللہ کو بلایا اور کہا کہ تم نصرانیت قبول کر لو، میں اپنی حکومت کے اندر تمہیں شریک کروں گا، میں تمہیں اپنی امپائر میں پارٹنر بنا لوں گا۔ یہ بہت بڑی بات تھی۔ حضرت عبداللہ نے انکار کر دیا کہ یہ کیسے ہو سکتا ہے۔ تو اس نے حکم دیا کہ انہیں تختے دار پر چڑھا کر ان کو تیر مارے جائے۔ تو حضرت عبداللہ رضی اللہ تعالی عنہ کو تختے دار پر چڑھایا گیا، لیکن بادشاہ نے دیکھا کہ ان کے چہرے پر کوئی پریشانی اور خوف کے آثار نہیں ہیں۔ تو بادشاہ نے اس کو کہا کہ ایک کام کرو، ان کو چھوڑ کو وہاں سے ان کو اتار دو۔ اتارنے کے بعد کہا ایک دیگچی لاؤ، دیگ کے اندر پانی گرم کرو، کھولتے ہوئے پانی میں ان کو ڈال دو۔ تو حضرت عبداللہ رضی اللہ تعالی عنہ کو جب قریب لے کے گئے دیگ کے قریب، تو انہوں نے رونا شروع کر دیا۔ بادشاہ نے بلایا کہ آپ رونے کی وجہ ہمیں بتائیں۔ حضرت عبداللہ نے کہا کہ میں رو اس وجہ سے رہا ہوں کہ یہ تو میری ایک جان ہے، اگر اللہ مجھے 100 جانیں دیتا تو میں اللہ کے راستے میں اس کو قربان کر دیتا۔ حضرت حذیفہ کا یہ کہنا تھا۔ تو بادشاہ نے کہا کہ اب ایک کام کرو، آپ میرے سر پہ بوسہ دو، میں آپ کو چھوڑ دوں گا۔ شاہ روم نے کہا کہ مجھے سر پہ بوسہ دو، میں تمہیں چھوڑ دوں گا۔ حضرت عبداللہ نے کہا کہ میں بوسہ دوں گا، لیکن صرف مجھے ہی نہیں، میرے سارے ساتھیوں کو چھوڑنا پڑے گا۔ تو بادشاہ نے کہا ٹھیک ہے۔ حضرت عبداللہ رضی اللہ تعالی عنہ نے بادشاہ کے سر کو بوسہ دیا، اور بادشاہ نے سارے ساتھیوں کو آزاد کر دیا، سارے مسلمانوں کو آزاد کر دیا۔ حضرت عمر فاروق رضی اللہ تعالی عنہ کو جب اس واقعے کی اطلاع ملی، تو حضرت عمر فاروق رضی اللہ تعالی عنہ حضرت عبداللہ بن حذیفہ کے پاس آئے اور ان کے سر پہ بوسہ دیا۔ اس سے صرف میرا کہنے کا مقصد یہ ہے کہ دیکھیں ایمان مضبوط تھا، تو ایمان کے مضبوط ہونے کے بعد دیکھیں انہوں نے نصرانیت کو ٹھکرا دیا، پوری حکومت کو ٹھکرا دیا، اور ان کو سخت پریشانی کے لیے ان کو سامنا کرنا پڑا، لیکن انہوں نے اس کو برداشت کیا۔ تو یہ ایمان کی مضبوطی ہے۔ اللہ رب العزت ہم سب کو عمل کرنے کے توفیق عطا فرمائے، آمین وآخر دعوانا الحمدللہ رب العالمین۔ اس واقعے کو حافظ ابن حجر نے اپنی کتاب الاصابہ کے اندر بیان کیا ہے۔
जज़ाकल्लाह खैर मौलाना, अल्लाह ताला हम सबको समझ और अल्लाह हम सबको अमल करने की तौफीक दे. Brothers, sisters, inshallah we move on to invite our guest speaker, but before I invite him, I just want to play a short video. Mashallah, Sheikh has been serving the community for many years. Alhamdulillah, he is very well known. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with the knowledge. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him the ability to serve the community as well. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen, play this short 3 minutes video, inshallah, and then I will invite Sheikh to come and share his knowledge, his wisdom with us. So allow me only a few minutes, please.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, and welcome to our institute, the Olive Foundation, Darul Ulum Zaytuniyah here in Bradford. Just to give you a short history, we started way back in around 2004-2005, and we started in a rented accommodation, 4 or 5 rooms, 6 rooms, a large detached property with about 40 pupils and about 5 teachers. It was a boys' school originally, but within a few weeks and months, we had applications for a girls' school. So eventually, we needed to start a girls' school, and we ended up in these premises here, which you've probably seen the clips of, as is being discussed. And we bought this, and when we bought it originally, we had to borrow a lot of Qarda Hasana in order to buy it. Once we bought it, obviously, the building we bought was in a serious level of disrepair, and then we had to borrow more money in order to bring this building up to standards. We now have at this building 2 schools, Olive Secondary Boys School, Olive Secondary Girls Schools. We have 2 elementary academies in which we teach both Qaida, Nazira and Hifz class. And also now we have the higher academy in which we teach the Alamiyah, which is the 8-year course of the full Alim course. We have had, alhamdulillah, over the years, 30 odd students becoming Hafiz of Quran, who are now leading Taraweeh up and down the country and outside of the country. And we also have 30 odd graduates who themselves are now teachers and doing other work of deen, alhamdulillah. But with that, we haven't just stopped at education. Alhamdulillah, we've also got a Darul Iftar downstairs, which you would have again seen maybe a clip of, Markazul Iftar wal Qada, which is internationally recognized, alhamdulillah, and deals with not only the day-to-day affairs of the public, but also public bodies and commercial institutes. And similarly, we have a research center, which is the Institute for the Revival of Traditional Islamic Sciences, in which we carry out thorough research on various topics. And I advise you to go onto the website to have a look at what we've done. We have obviously grown and grown and grown, and now we've grown because the need of the community is there to provide for the community. So we want to continue to provide for the community. But as you can see with the building, which was built in 1905, a few years older than me, is a building which genuinely runs into disrepair. So maintaining a building of this size is expensive, especially being a grade 2 listed building in which we have to ensure that the same materials are used when we're replacing old material, which can be very expensive. Similarly, we have still got outstanding cards left, some going back nearly 10-15 years when we were first brought about, which we really need to give back. People have been asking for it last year and the year before, and unfortunately we've not been in a position to pay it. So in total it's a big grand sum of around £280,000. However, our immediate needs are in the region of, I think, 30 to 40,000. But any can help. You can, any amount of money that's given will assist us in continuing to provide this service, because apart from the educational services we provide, all the other services are provided for free, and helping people in difficult circumstances to overcome their issues and be able to live their lives according to Islam. So assist. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. You will benefit the community not only in Bradford but in the UK and beyond, and also it will be your sadaqatul jariyah, in which you will continue to get ajr either for yourself or for a deceased loved one that you can give for, so that they continue to get the reward as we continue to do our work. Jazakumullah khairan for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Brothers, sisters, I just want to share this thought with you. This is not something Sheikh has requested me to play. I took an initiative to play because I believe anyone who is doing a job to educate our nation, to educate our youth. And when I say education, I mean Islamic education, and I mean worldly education as well. But alhamdulillah, Sheikh is doing a lot of research on Islamic sciences as well, and delivering a quality education to the community. So while we are contributing to the local causes, I think it is very, very important. Don't just look at your local masjid. Contribute. If you have money, contribute. If you do not contribute financially, at least you can share the information. Maybe just by you sharing the information with someone, somebody donate, and you will get the reward as well. So alhamdulillah, we thanks Sheikh for joining us today. We are blessed to have him. We are honored to have him today with us and sharing his knowledge and wisdom with us. Without any further delay, I would like to invite Mufti Amjad Muhammad Sahab to unmute and start the talk, inshallah. Mufti Sahab, we aim to finish around 1:30, inshallah. Jazakallah, over to you.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen, nabiyyina Muhammadi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'du, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan, first of all, for the masjid and the institute for inviting me. Barakallah feek. I appreciate and I feel humbled to be requested to share some words with you. I thank the support that has been provided to us and is being continued to provide. So Jazakumullah khair for that. I speak on behalf not just of myself, but also the Olive Foundation, which is doing the work that you've mentioned. But it's not just the work which we've seen there, but it's also important work which I'm going to share with you today. And I hope I can share you can see my screen now. So let me open that up. Can you confirm? Can you see my screen? Okay, I can see his ears, head nodding, so that must mean that, yeah, that's good. And I got the thumbs up. Okay, so let me, without further ado, let me make a start there, inshallah. So I'm just going to move this little thing lower down. Okay. Now, the topic that I'm going to start on is a very important topic: atheism, the denial of God. And I don't normally like to show my credentials, which is under my Twitter feed there, Twitter name. Reason why I've shared them is, unfortunately, we have an inferiority complex, and we feel Maulvis, unfortunately aren't educated, and they're fortunate to be able to string a sentence or two together. That's not the case. We're using our forefathers who came to these lands maybe 50, 60 years ago as our barometer for the access of knowledge that our scholars have nowadays. So my initial degree, as you can see, is in science, in chemistry. And I served 13 years in a chemical company. So I am scientifically trained. The reason why I'm highlighting that is, obviously, I'm going to speak about today and tomorrow and next week on atheism, and I touched upon evolution during Ramadan, which, inshallah, an opportunity I here will be presented to go over those two again. So that's really the rationale for putting the accreditations there, so that you know that what I'm sharing with you is sound. Okay, now for those of us who've read Shakespeare, the king is dead, long live the king. I just like to, play on words. So atheism is dead, long live atheism. So let's now, with that title, make a start. Which faith to compare with atheism? The first thing I needed to do was to decide which faith, because faiths are different. The Judaic faith is different than the Christian faith. Islam is different than Hinduism. So I needed to, when comparing to atheism, I needed to select the faith. So we find, for example, Judaism, its main basis on the Tanakh, around 450 BCE. Christianity, and obviously Yahweh is the God that they name. And Christianity refers to the term God. We have the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament is the Tanakh, but the Christians call it the Old Testament. And then they had the New Testament, which was around 80 CE. Islam, obviously, we use the term Allah. We confirm the Tanakh, but we consider it as a modified Torah, in that, yes, there was a revelation made to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, which was obviously modified by humans, and therefore we accept parts of it that are still part of the faith, and those which aren't, we don't accept. Similarly, the New Testament, we consider the modified Injil, and then we have obviously the Quran, which is unique in that it was revealed over a timed period. So it makes sense here that I choose, obviously, Islam as the religion to compare. You might say I'm somewhat biased. However, if we look at this, you will see that the only text which has not been modified, and there is no scientific evidence. I'm going to kind of step out of my Islam now, And there is no scientific evidence or no sound research which has proven that the Quran has been modified. And there is plenty of work, not just by Muslims, that the Old Testament and the New Testament, or the Tanakh, depending on which way you're going to look at it, have been modified. So if we're going to compare a faith against atheism, it must be the faith which is still in its purest form, hence the rationale. You will see that I'm rationalizing everything. Obviously, I'm speaking to Muslims. We believe that. But that's not strong enough anymore. Our young people that are growing up won't just buy into that concept of I believe and that's it. They're asking a lot of questions, and we need to be equipped to be able to answer those questions. Hence, you will see that I will argue this from a rational basis. So we have what's called new atheism. It came around the kind of noughties, as I think they refer to. Dawkins obviously was a keen push for this new atheism. He's the former Oxford professor at the Public Understanding of Science. And as soon as we see the word Oxford and professor, we start to shake in our jubba because we're frightened now that this person has got great knowledge, therefore he must be right. He wrote a book called The God Delusion in 2006, which really pushed this agenda of that, God is dead. Hawking was the more scientific argument. Obviously, we know him to be a great physicist, Cambridge theoretical physicist, and he came forward with the grand design. Again, argumentation for the lack of a deity, the lack of a God. And then we have Christopher Hitchens, who's a professor of liberal studies, and he wrote, and you can see its connotation is directly aimed at Muslims, because he says God is not great based on our term, Allahu Akbar. Again, 2008. But you'll see that there was a cause, there was a catalyst for these texts to come out. So Dawkins is pushing for this revival. He says, even if they can't be herded, referring to believers, cats in sufficient numbers can make a lot of noise and they cannot be ignored. So you can see that an affirmative step was being taken. A position was being adopted by these atheists in a more, what you would say, an aggressive footing than what has been before those dates. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about their lack of unity. And you'll see the ayat there. Let me minimize this. You'll see the ayat there. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم تحسبهم جميعا وقلوبهم شتى ذلك بأنهم قوم لا يعقلون. You will see the atheists, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word kufr, kafir, to describe them, as I refer to this as aggressive atheism. You will see that they are all together. However, in reality, their hearts are separate because they are a people who don't understand. So let's carry on. Around the 2009, there was a big bus advertisement being pushed, particularly on London buses, about by the British Humanist Association, in which it said, there's probably no God. Now stop worrying and enjoy your life. I'm going to analyze that statement for us shortly. First of all, they use the word probably. So that shows, firstly, even the atheists themselves are saying, Dawkins admits that this cannot be proven and is a position of faith. So they agree that scientists, or some scientists, cannot prove that God does not exist. Furthermore, we see the term now stop worrying, okay, suggesting that believing in God is bringing about a cause of worry. Finally, enjoy your life, giving a further substantiation based on an assumption that life cannot be enjoyed. Now, people who argue from so-called a scientific perspective are using terms like probably, so not stop worrying, enjoy your life, both on assumptions. Now, there's two slides here which you can click on. I'm just going to exit out of here and take you across to the web pages themselves. And you will see that actually, and these were just two that I found. This is eventually when it uploads. Really, oh, there we go. So, and this, you can get access to this. Religion can make you happier, official figures suggest. Are atheists really more miserable than the faithful? And there's lots of other research like that. Remember, this is coming from a secular newspaper. So it's not necessarily coming from a religious background, people, when you might say that's biased. You'll see throughout this, I'm arguing from a rational, scientific basis. I'm not using my faith to make this argument. This argument is coming, and it can be put to anybody, this argument. And obviously, we don't have time to read through this. This is going out on a video, YouTube, so you can, in your own time, go through that. The next one is a newspaper, and I apologize if any adverts come on which are inappropriate. I cannot control that. I just wanted to share the screen with you, so my apologies in advance.
Mufti, okay. We can see your slide, but we cannot see your screen because you have to again share your browser, then we can see it.
Oh, okay. How do I do that?
I think leave it for this time. I'll share this link with the later on with everybody, and they can view online.
Not a problem. Okay, but basically you're gonna have to take my word for it. And in those 2 slides that we had, where are we? Jump back a fair bit. In those 2 slides that I shared with you, sorry, the 2 articles that I shared with you, there is scientific evidence that faith actually makes you happier. Faith actually makes you stop worrying. So this is a flawed statement. Scientifically, this is a flawed statement rationally. Okay, let's move on. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about them? You know, we say that, you know, is the Quran relevant to the 21st century? You know, we can't connect. You know, we see all this going on around us, and people say, look in the Quran for your answers. And we say, well, the Quran is 1400 years ago. How can it talk about Hawkins? How can it talk about Hitchens? How can it talk about, you know, all these people making these statements? Well, all you have to do is have a look. ذلك بأن مستحب الحياة الدنيا على الآخرة وأن الله لا يهدي القوم الكافرين. That is because they prefer the life of this world over the life of the hereafter. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not guide the kafirin. Remember, I am using the word kafirin for these aggressive atheists. Will not guide them. And there are so more and many more. الذين يستحبون الحياة الدنيا على الآخرة. Those who prefer the life of the world over the hereafter. ويصدون عن سبيل الله. And they stop people from the path of Allah. They put up arguments. وَيَبْغُونَهَا عِوَجًا. And they seek faults in faith. They try to argue from a rational scientific basis to seek faults in faith. أُولَٰئِكَ فِي ضَلَالٍ بَعِيدٍ. It is them who are in a far deviation. They are wrong. So new atheism, has something really changed? Well, nothing and everything. First of all, they want to give the impression of change. They want to say that, look, we are dealing with the new things which are going on in the world. Are you really going to go to a book which is over 1400 years old? Why don't you go with something which is happening the here and now? People are accessing this. So this impression of progression, and we always want to be seen to be progressive, not backwards. You'll see the connotations with those words I just used there. Don't kid yourself that you're going to live again after you're dead. You're not. Make the most of one life you have got, live it to the full. Remember the few ayats I shared with you earlier? Okay, presumably what happened to Jesus was what happened to all of us when we die. We decompose. Look, all about this. Look at this. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَإِذَا كُنَّا تُرَابًا وَآبَاؤُنَا أَإِنَّا لَمُخْرَجُونَ. And those who disbelieve, those who are the aggressive atheists, they say, أَإِذَا كُنَّا تُرَابًا. When we become dust and our forefathers, will we be resurrected? Look at the statements I just shared with you earlier. لَقَدْ وُعِدْنَا هَذَا نَحْنُ وَآبَاؤُنَا مِنْ قَبْلِ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا أَسَاطِيرُ. We were promised these, or we were warned about these. We and our forefathers before. However, these are just fairy tales. Just tales mothers scare their children with to put them to sleep. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ مَاذَا أَنزَلَ رَبُّكُمْ قَالُوا أَسَاطِيرُ. When we say to them, what has your Rabb revealed? They say, fairy tales. This is just, you know. قَالُوا أَإِذَا مِتْنَا وَكُنَّا تُرَابًا وَعِظَامًا أَإِنَّا لَمَبْعُوثُونَ. They say that when we die and we become dust and our bones become dust, will we be resurrected? Notice the argumentations. Tell me if you see any different in the argumentations which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making on behalf of the kafirin and what these aggressive atheists are saying. وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَإِذَا كُنَّا تُرَابًا وَآبَاؤُنَا إِنَّا لَمُخْرَجُونَ. And I've only given you a sample of ayats. I'm not giving you everything. So what changed? Well, 9/11 made a massive change. Many of us saw religion as harmless nonsense. Beliefs might lack all supporting evidence, but we thought if people need a crutch for consolation, what's the harm? September the 11th changed all that. And obviously, when we really mention September the 11th, we're mentioning Islam. Islam came for whatever reason, right or wrong reasons. Islam came onto the public scene in a big way. Before, it was a problem with the brown people in some far out backward country. September the 11th brought the Muslim agenda on a global scale. Therefore, you see the atheists taking a direct position against that. Hitchens, I'm not an atheist as much as I'm an anti-theist. You notice now that anti-theist is one who's taking an aggressive step against theism. Not just that I don't believe in a God, like we are allowed to believe in a God, so they are also allowed not to believe in a God, but they're also saying is we actually disagree with those people who do believe in a God, and we will challenge those people who do believe in a God. Dawkins said, I'm utterly fed up with the respect we have been brainwashed into bestowing upon religion. Do these sound like rational statements? Do these sound like men of science, or do these sound like emotional rants, which Muslims and other believers get accused of? I think, and look at this term. Imagine if we rephrase the word religion with race, or we change the word religion with anything else. I think religion should be treated with ridicule, hatred, and contempt. And I claim that right. Haggerty quotes Hitchens on that statement there. And then obviously extremism in religion. So let's look at some deaths. The argument that is made is religion brings about deaths. Religions kill people. People fight over religions, and therefore it is a bad thing. Well, when we look at the Napoleonic Wars, over 3 million people were killed. World War I, 65 million. World War II, 80 million. Korean War, 200,000. Iraqi War, 180,000. So we're talking about nearly 150 million souls have been taken over actual civil wars, not faith wars, not wars based on religion, but based on power, greed, by so-called atheists. And these are, these values, this figure here, 149 million, is quite conservative. It could easily be 250, if not 300 million. That is a lot of people being killed. Then there's the argument that's made that, again, religion is extreme, and therefore you see lots of people carrying out acts of terror, particularly people of faith. So I've gathered some research, 1975 to 2105. I don't know where that's come from. I must have had a time machine or something when I went ahead to 2105. And then I thought, you know what, it's quite boring in 2105. I'm going to go back to 2020. So I think that should have read 2005. My apologies for that. These are obviously the majority are the IRA, ETA, RAF, neo-Nazi, none based on religion. So you'll see here that these are all non-religious acts of terror, supposedly. And remember, the word terror itself is open to debate, but we don't have time to debate that point, because I have 15 minutes or so left, inshallah. But look at all this that is due to non-religious. Remember, acts of terror are being defined by the Western society. And you see all of these compared to little blips there. And that's the highest there. But even in that very same year, this will be, I don't know why it's there. Maybe 9/11 got pushed a little, put forward a little bit, and that's what you have. Because 9/11 was in the States, that's why. So you'll see here that quite differently, there is more acts of terror going on, even if we accept these terms of terror being labeled to Muslims, because we know when he says war on terror, it's actually war on Muslim lands. We can see that because it's specific to that. But anyway, let's park that to one side for now. You can see that there's significant. Why is that not being dealt with? How fair are these so-called men of rational and men of reason and men of science? How fair are they interpreting this data? So atheism, is it a faith or is it an anti-faith? Okay. The BHA, British Humanist Association website says, saying there is no God is taking a faith position. Very important we understand this. Okay, why is it a faith position? Because it cannot be proven that Allah does not exist. If something cannot be proven, then it cannot be ascertained scientifically. If it cannot be ascertained scientifically and rationally, then it's a position of faith. So like we said, there is no God except Allah is a position of faith. We cannot prove that to anybody scientifically. Then similarly saying that there is no God is also a position of faith. Very important, that point. In 2006 conference, Beyond Belief, Science, Religion, Reason, and Survival, there were 3 questions that were put forward by these people of no faith. Should science do away with religion? What would science put in religion's place? Can we be good without God? Knowing that the word good is an extraction from the word God. In place of God, the New Scientist, which is a kind of a public science journal, also ran an article, In Place of God, in which it said God should be replaced with science, replace religion with the scientific process, and replace the religious experts with scientists. all attempts to reconcile faith with science are consigned to failure and ridicule. So anybody who tries to engage from a religious perspective as a scientist should be laughed at. Why? Because he is a person of faith. I remember when I was doing my PhD, and the person who my professor that I was doing the PhD under said, how will you remain unbiased, Amjad, since you are a practitioner, you are a Muslim? How will you remain, I was doing on my PhD on fiqh al-aqaliyat, how will you remain unbiased being a Muslim? So I paused for a few minutes and I turned the question around to him and I said to him, I said, how do you remain unbiased as an atheist working in an Islamic section of the university? And he went quiet. He said, you know what? I've never thought of it like that. I said, it's funny that we always see bias from brown people. We see bias from minority, but we don't see bias from white people or people who claim to be people of rationale. Very interesting. And then we had a long topic for another hour on that, but I don't want to bore you with that. So let's now take these points forward. Is science a substitute for Allah? I am against religion because it teaches us to be satisfied with not understanding the world. That's the claim that's being made. Is that true now? Does Allah tell us, forget the world, switch off from the world, don't care what the world is telling you, you just pray 5 times a day and give zakat, whatever, but don't understand the world. The world is not for you to understand. Let's see. Well, I'm not going to teach you the scientific way in the next 12 minutes, but I will just give you a general idea. There's something called the empirical method, which is by use of induction or inductive, and then there's a rational model, which is deductive. I will briefly explain these. The empirical model is observation. As a scientist, what I would do is go out in the field and observe. Okay? So if I go and sit under an apple tree and I watch the apples fall, one apple falls, another apple falls, a third apple falls, a fourth apple falls, I can now develop a theory. My theory is that whenever an apple falls from the tree, it falls to the ground. That's my theory. I sat there under this apple tree for 6 weeks, and whenever an apple fell, it always fell down. I never saw an apple go up towards the sky. Okay, that's my observation. So I now make a theory. I now want to test this theory. So I now go sit under a banana tree. When I sit under a banana tree, I also see bananas falling to the ground. I sit under a pineapple tree. Guess what? The pineapples are falling. So I now think, yes, I have an hypothesis that any fruit which falls from a tree will fall to the ground. I now go present that in a research paper and off I go. That's the empirical method, model. Then we have the rational model. Okay, I now sit and come up with a theory. My theory is that if you walk out in front of a car, you will get hurt. Now, I didn't go observe that. I sat in my room here coming up with that theory. I now want to put that theory into practice. So I go and I watch people on a road stepping out in front of cars. And when I observe it, I think, yep, I was right. Because look, every time a person has stepped out from the car, he's got hurt. Fantastic. Off I go. So one is the rational model, one is the empirical model. So these are means to ascertain knowledge. So how can there be a substitute for Allah? And I'll explain to you why. In other words, they are means, not the sort. Okay, so who is the God for atheists? Let's now look at the empirical method. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ وَإِلَى السَّمَاءِ كَيْفَ رُفِعَتْ وَإِلَى الْجِبَالِ كَيْفَ نُصِبَتْ وَإِلَى الْأَرْضِ كَيْفَ سُطِحَتْ. Do you not look, observe? Do you not observe and investigate the camel, how it was created, and then observe the skies, how they've been raised so high? And do you not observe the mountains, how they've been raised and by the way the plates have been moving against one another? And then have you not looked at the earth, the way it is spread out? وَلَقَدْ تَرَكْنَا مِنْهَا آيَةً بَيِّنَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ. And we have left there on the earth signs for a people who have aql, not for a people who believe. Not, it didn't say لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. It says لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ, people who rationalize. أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَتَكُونَ لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ يَعْقِلُونَ. Do they not walk on the earth so that they would have hearts which can rationalize, and ears, أَذَانٌ يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا, so they can hear things. فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارُ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. It is not their eyes which are blind, it is their hearts which are blind in their chests. وَفِي الْأَرْضِ آيَاتٌ. And there are so many signs we've left on the earth. لِمُوقِنٍ, for those who are absolute certain. And in your own cells, the way your body is constructed, to this day, scientists cannot produce an eye. Has that not made you think that this cannot just come about by chance? أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Don't you look? Does it say أَفَلَا تُؤْمِنُونَ? Do you not believe? No. It says, أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Don't you look? سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ. We will soon show them our signs on the horizons. وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ, and in their own bodies. حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ, until it becomes clear to them. أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ, that is the truth. أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّ وَلَا كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. Is this a book which says blindly follow Islam? Is this a book which says suspend your reasoning? Is this a book which says science is haram? Is it? Do you see that in there? I don't. Let's now look at the rational model that I spoke about. لَوْ كَانَ فِيهِمَا آلِهَةٌ إِلَّا اللَّهُ لَفَسَدَتَا. If there had been another God with Allah, then the earth would have been destroyed. We know how difficult it is, and I apologize to the trustees of the masjid that might be listening. We know how difficult it is amongst the trustees to come to an agreement. Wouldn't it be so easy if one person was in charge? If one person was in charge, he would decide what he wants, when he wants. You won't need to go through so many conversations and discussions in trustee meetings to reach to the most simple decision. Can we paint the Jamaat Khana beige color? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that had there been another God other than Allah, would you not see the world destroyed? فَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَرْشِ عَمَّا يَصِفُونَ وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاءَ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا لَاعِبِينَ. We have not created the heavens and the earth just as a pastime, as a plaything. لَوْ أَرَدْنَا أَن نَتَّخِذَ لَهْوًا لَاتَّخَذْنَاهُ مِن لَدُنَّا. If we wanted something for entertainment's sake, if we wanted something for the sake of amusement, we would have done that something from our own sides. وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاءَ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا لَاعِبِينَ مَا خَلَقْنَاهُمْ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Have you been created from nothing? Did you come into creation by chance? Or did you create yourself? Antum takhluquna. So these are all rational. This is for us to sit and stroke our chins and go, now that's interesting. Is it a book which closes your rational mind? Is it a book which is saying don't ponder? Is it a book which is saying don't think? Is it a book which is saying stop thinking, stop reasoning? It is a book which is inviting you to reason. It is a book which is inviting you to think. It wants you to accept Islam, not by compulsion, but by your heart. Your heart accepts it. أَوَلَمْ يَتَفَكَّرُوا فِي أَنْ. Do they not, look at the word, يَتَفَكَّرُوا. Do they not reflect and ponder in their own bodies, their heart, their lungs, their kidneys, how it all works? You know, those of us who studied biology will be amazed at the human body. مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. That which is being created in the heavens and the earth has been created except with soundness. وأجل مسمى, and for a fixed time. وإن كثيرا من الناس بلقاء ربهم لكافرون. However, even when they see all this, even when they apply the rational model, even when they apply the empirical model, why don't they accept? Because إن كثيرا من الناس, because the majority of humans بلقاء ربهم, in meeting their Rabb, لكافرون, they deny it. That's the issue. They deny it. They don't want to meet their Rabb. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not against the scientific process. I'm telling you as a scientist. New atheists lie when they say religion is against the scientific process. New atheists lie when they say that science should replace Allah, because science is a means, not a thing that should be worshipped. New atheists lie when they say that scientists should replace religious scholars, because this is something completely different. It's hypocrisy. This is nifaq. This is doing no different than what they claim that people of faith are doing. They're blindly following something without understanding it. It's a false dichotomy, science versus Islam. These dichotomies which have been set up, rationality versus irrationality, sound, reasonable, and absolute versus unsound, unreasonable, and speculative. Science leads to Islam. A person with a clean heart who look as a scientist with a clean heart who looks at Islam can say nothing else but say Subhanallah and accept Islam. No other way. Unless his heart is being blackened, and that is the will of Allah. He gives hidayah to whoever he chooses. Empirical research and rational reasoning from a sound mind and a clean heart. Remember, these sharait are important. Sound mind, a mind which has not been polluted, and a clean heart, a heart which is sincere, will lead to accepting Islam unless one is setting oneself up as a god. And that's what the atheists are doing. They want people to worship them. They do not want people to worship Allah. That's the difference. أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Do you not look at that person who takes his God, his own desires? He makes his own desires his God. فأنت تكون عليه وكيلا. Are you going to stand over him and be responsible for him? أم تحسب أن أكثرهم يسمعون ويعقلون إن هو إلا كالأنعام. So do you think that even though majority of them, they can hear and they can understand, except that they are nothing like animals? بل هم أضل سبيلا. In fact, they are further away from that. Look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 1400 years ago is talking about these people here in the 21st century. The Quran is eternal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's kalam is eternal. It is not fixed by time. It is beyond time. It is applicable for all time. It is we have to have the skills to be able to engage with it. That leads me to idol, I God, there is no God, which is part 2. So just as a little teaser for you, inshallah, next week, if I understand correctly, there will be a part 2, inshallah, if Allah gives us life. And obviously I get invited. Then we will take that up. Just trying to find where we are. There we are, Zoom. Okay, how do I make this come back? Oh, there you go. So I think that's it, inshallah. So I need to only share my screen, but I don't know how to. Hold on. How do I make this screen large again? So, by any help?
Sorry, what you want to do, Sheikh?
I want to make my screen large so I can stop sharing. At the moment, you got a little thing in my corner here.
Stop participant sharing.
Ah, there you go. I've got it. Okay. So, has my screen disappeared now?
Yeah, it disappeared. I've done from my side, so it's okay.
Okay, fantastic. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah, Sheikh. Brothers and sisters, before I say something, I just want to, alhamdulillah, suggest to and ask Sheikh approval as well. Next week, inshallah, we will start at 12:30. So I'll invite Sheikh at 12:45 sharp. So we will have about 30 minutes talk, and then we will have 10-15 minutes question and answer session as well. Because I think on this topic, especially some of you definitely have some question. And sometime as a parent, when it comes to, atheism, I do not have a right answer because I'm not expert. I'm still learning to my kids. So alhamdulillah, we have a Sheikh. So next week, inshallah, we will start 12:30 our program, our recitation of Quran and some important messages. And then we will ask Sheikh to start at 12:45. And inshallah, we have up to 10-15 minutes question and answer session as well to end this. Yes, Sheikh, over to you.
I'm going to say, please, brothers and sisters, this is a very important topic. And I'm not saying it because I've given the lecture. It's a very important topic. Our children are suffering this in schools. They may not be sharing it with you, but my background is in education. Our children are struggling to bring these two identities together when they are going to the maktab and madrasa. And unfortunately, not every maktab and madrasa is equipped to deal with it. And then they're getting these confused. And the number of people leaving Islam is significantly high. That might not be shared because it's not good news to share, because we don't like to hear that, but it's a reality. So we need to, be really serious about how we deal with this. So sorry about that, Zia, but I just thought it was important to mention that.
And brothers and sisters, I just want to endorse, because we are here, we work with the community. I personally know some youth, in the eyes of their parents, they're Muslim, but when they're outside, they don't even believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's not because they don't want to. They don't have answer to their question. Let me give you the example, especially in subcontinent mindset. If my child is going to come and say something, Allah does not exist, I don't have an answer, and I'm gonna slap in a different way to my children. And this children is never going to ask me any question. He's going to ask, or she's going to ask this question to somebody who are giving more evidence, false evidences that God does not exist, to make us, the slave to this technology. And these scientists, they want to be God. So it is very, very important. And some of us, we're not understanding and realizing how big and how serious this problem is. If you go to the university, college, and school, and if you listen to some of the conversation taking place, you will be shocked. So as a parent, sometimes we do not have answers. But what we need to do, we need to equip ourselves. We need to bring our children to listen to these talks, Sheikh. And there are a lot of others, mashallah, good scholars. They have a knowledge in science and they have a knowledge in Islam as well. And when they talk, some of this talk may not make a great sense to some of the parents, because of not a scientific background. But let me tell you, the kids or youngster who are listening to these talks, it is very, very relevant and they understand. So next week, inshallah, we will have one more session on this, the same topic. And inshallah, we will have a little more detail and we will have 10 to 15 minutes question and answer session as well. And I'll ask Sheikh if he can share the slides as well. Inshallah, if anyone of you needs slides, the previous one as well, inshallah, I'm going to get from the Sheikh during the month of Ramadan. And what I'm suggesting, inshallah, in coming months, maybe in a month's time, we may have one workshop and we will invite maybe 2 or 3 scholars like Sheikh Amjad Saab and maybe 1 or 2 scholars. And we have 2-3 hours like a workshop style where we invite youngster and we invite parents and we invite different people to have a little bit more detailed information on this topic. And I suggest everybody, please speak to your children, please talk to your children. And if you do not have answer, don't shut them up. If you shut them up, I promise they will go and ask these questions to somebody else, which you don't want them to ask to those people. So what you want to do, you want to direct them to the right information source so they can get answer to these questions. So Jazakallah khair for joining us, Sheikh. Inshallah, without any further delay, I would like to ask our trustee, Brother Tahir Awan, to say a few words because we are receiving a lot of inquiries regarding opening of masjid. Alhamdulillah, seriously, genuinely, we are very excited and we wish to go back to the masjid to see all of you, but we have to be mindful of all the precautions and what is happening. So I would like to ask Tahir Bhai to update us on this mosque opening site. Over to you, Tahir.
Jazakallah, Zia Bhai. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum and Mufti Saab, excellent talk indeed, very gripping. Indeed, I can't wait for the second section. I think just to follow on, I think we talked about having a workshop, and I think this is very, very important. Parents need to educate themselves, or at least have some basic understanding if they're going to educate the kids. For a child to come to a parent and say, God doesn't exist and all that, most parents would probably get annoyed and maybe give the child a little nudge on the back, don't say slap on the back, it's illegal, and put them away because we're uneducated ourselves. And it's very important subject matter as well. I think Hamza Zores, a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, he specializes on this subject as well. And he came and did a talk and a small workshop, but we never followed it up again. And I think this is a good time to revive this. Now, okay, I'm mindful of the time that people need to pray as well. Coming back to the mosque issue, we had our management trustee meeting only a couple of days ago to decide in line with the government that, churches, synagogues, mosques can be open for individual worship, not congregational, individual. Whilst that might suit the churches, it doesn't actually suit the synagogues, gurdwaras, temples, or particularly us, where the masjid is specifically for congregational prayers. Now, obviously, we made a decision that we would not open until such time as the government was able to give assurances, yes, you can, by law, open up your masajids for congregational prayers. Now, that is just one side. I mean, to open it for individuals, we would still have to put the whole risk assessment, guidance, and all the elements in place, which we can ill afford right now. We'd have to have the caretaker, the center manager, light, heating, with the facilities, or a sector, and we can't really do that. Obviously, when we do open in July, there'll be some restrictions on the numbers and age groups and variables as to who's able to come and who's not able to come, and try and accommodate as much as they can. Now, if we were to say, just to give an example, that anybody over 60 cannot come for underlying health reasons or because of their age or their vulnerability, that also includes some of the trustees, myself included. I'm over 60, so I probably won't be able to go there. So I have to I have to practice what I preach as well, or what I say as well. So it's not one rule for management and one rule for the masallis. We are all in it together. So whatever happens, the trustees will play their role as well in line with everybody else. We don't want to be finger point and say it's all right for you, but not for them. Similar things happen in government circles as well. One rule for the hierarchy in the ministerial level, and the rest can sort of not go to hell, but make their own way. So we need to be mindful of this. We are in discussion with, there's a lot of guidance from Faith Associates, from MCB and various other organizations. There are some practical videos around on how to safely open open and mark up your masjids. We've got all that information. We've appointed a COVID-19 risk assessment manager to have overall responsibility with the trustees and the senior management regarding this. We're moving, so we're working towards it. We will be having a Zoom meeting arranged with one of the organizations. We're in dialogue with them, where about 20 to 25 local massages within the West London Forum will participate at management level to try and see how risk assessments can be done. I just need to point two things out. There is guidance on how to open mosques, and there's a risk assessment. There's a lot of guidance, but risk assessment is specific to your place, and it needs to be certified, for your insurance purposes, and also it also needs to be validated so that in case there were any particular cases, the first thing that the council or the public health will ask is, where is your risk assessment? Was it done? Was it put in place? And what was done? So we need to make sure that anybody that does the risk assessment, they are actually accredited. It's not a money-saving thing. Oh, well, open your account, he's charging 150 or he's charging 200. Let's go for the cheapest option. We need to go for somebody who's recognized officially and is accredited as well. Otherwise, you get many people on the springboard who join in and say, well, I can do it for £20. Well, I can do it for free if I really want to do it because I know how it works. But that is not the point. The point is you need to have accreditation on this. Now, I know my time is coming up as well. One final thing. It is Jummah today. It's a blessed day. And giving in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a great blessing as well. The masjid needs, and Izzyaba will touch on this. We will be sending around more information on Muslim giving, launch good, giving by online. All these facilities have been made available to everybody and everybody. So please, please, please utilize this, and we'll be going to the wider community on our database to try and see if we can secure some more funds today being Friday, inshallah. Jazakallah. Have a blessed day, and remember me and my family and our masjids and our masallis and everybody in your du'as, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Tarvi. I'm just reading the chat as well. So one point which Brother Ishaq has mentioned, he's mashallah our volunteer as well, and very valid point. I think today talk is more focused on the age group, I would say 14, 15, 16-year-old. And I second your point. We need something for the young children as well. When I say young children, 5-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year, 10-year-old, inshallah, this is something we will discuss with our scholars as well. So if we can arrange a very specific talk for this age group from 5-year-old to maybe 10 or 12-year-old, inshallah, this is something inshallah we'll discuss. But today's talk and the next week talk is more focused on high school student, I would say, or anybody who is 14, 15, 16-year-old. It's not designed for a 5, 6, 7-year-old. So inshallah, that is something inshallah we'll keep in mind and we will plan in future as well. Jazakallah khair. And this is very, very valid and very, very important. And we will touch on this one as well. So brothers and sisters, inshallah, we will end in next 2-3 minutes. I just want to remind you, it's not something new. We know, alhamdulillah, we bought a new place, Angel Muslim Center. We've got a Hayes Muslim Center serving you for last 25, 30 years. And we bought a new place. This is an Angel Muslim Center. And this place has been pub for 100+ year, listed building. And alhamdulillah, in coming months, in coming years, think about it, in this place where people, they were engaged in things which displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and inshallah we aim to convert into something to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not only going to be a masjid or prayer facility, it is going to be a community hub, and alhamdulillah we include other community as well, not only the Muslim. We will make this place like a center for dawah as well. We will make this place to serve our neighbors, no matter which the race or religion they come from. This is our aim, and very prime location. As you know, Uxbridge Road, very prime location. There's no masjid around, there's no prayer facility around, and alhamdulillah we managed this for 1.6 million. We've got about I believe 500,000 pounds still remaining. Sorry, I think 450, because during the month of Ramadan, with the help of this community, the people who are in this call and wider community, alhamdulillah, just online, alhamdulillah, we managed to raise about 50k. Jazakallah khair to all of you. And one thing which I would like to remind you, just think about it. You're not going to the masjid for Jummah Salah. But whatever you use to donate during the Jummah day, we will ask you to donate at least that money. We are providing you different options available. You can donate via text message. You can donate via going to our website, setting up a standing order, setting up a direct debit. You can go and set up an auto donation by going to muslimgiving.org /AMC. And if you want to give a cash, give us a call, inshallah, and we will make arrangement. We will come to your door with all the safety measures, alhamdulillah, and we'll collect the money. Or if you want to pay with the card, alhamdulillah, we can come to you and you can pay with the card as well. But brothers, sisters, for us to continue these services, we rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first of all. But at the same time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us something, provide us opportunity to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me ask you one question. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, he can create something that we don't rely on any one of you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't need me and you to give some for the sake. It is an opportunity. It is a blessing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are so blessed to, give our money for these causes, alhamdulillah. So as I say, Sheikh is doing a great job, mashallah. Olive Foundation, they have the schools, they have a madrasa, they have a research center, and you can see with the knowledge, information, and slides and all the work Sheikh is doing. And likewise, there are a lot of other organizations doing as well. So give locally to our organization and give other organizations as well. This is the time. Anybody who's doing for the community, whatever you can contribute, make your contribution, alhamdulillah. Do your part. If you do your part, alhamdulillah, if everybody start thinking, instead of me thinking that who else is giving, if I think, okay, you know what, I can give £1, and don't ever think that any donation is small or big. It's on your intention. You make an intention, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to put a lot of khair and barakah in these donations. So remember us in your du'as. Remember your Hayes Muslim Center, Angel Muslim Center, and make a lot of du'as for anybody all over the world, the people who are suffering, the ummah who is suffering. Make dua for them, make dua for the hidayah of ummah as well. Jazakallah khair for joining us today, inshallah. We are looking forward to welcome you back, inshallah, next Friday. Next Friday, we will start our talk at 12:30, and recording of this talk is available on YouTube. And alhamdulillah, we have a recording locally available as well. At the end, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mufti Amjad Muhammad Sahab, thank our trustee, and thank our community for joining us, and alhamdulillah, making this session very, very valuable. Inshallah, we will share the slide and we will plan regarding Brother Ishaq mentioned for the youngster session, and inshallah a workshop, and inshallah more. And one thing I would like to ask everybody, if you want any specific topic to be covered, you have the details, you have email address. We are more than welcome to listen to you guys and decide our next week topic, inshallah. So please always keep your suggestions coming to His Muslim Center, to Angel Muslim Center. Jazakallah khair.
Before you go, if Mufti Sahab can make a brief dua, it's being Friday, duas are accepted. Make a brief dua for all of us.
Jazakallah khair for reminding.
Just before I make the dua, just the point of the youngsters. With the youngsters, it's more the tarbiyah of our faith. We don't try to put kind of ideas in their heads of what, an argument against another faith. We have to reinforce the positive ideas. They only start to question when they start to kind of grow up and become their own person, which is normally around bulugh. So when they get to 12, 13, 14, they're kind of becoming more an individual. They're no longer just Zia Bai's son or Zia Bai's daughter. They're now, Aisha or now Abdullah, and they want to now find out who they are, not what their father tells them or mother. That's when the questions start to come in. So the key part in the early stages is tarbiyah, is to affirm the ideology and the beliefs that we have. And then the questions start to come around 12, 13, 14. That's the time when we start to challenge these other ideas which are coming in, normally in schools, and this goes beyond into colleges and universities. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Malik Yawm Ad-Din Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin Ameen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhaban nar. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Jazakallah khair everybody for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome.